Where are you from?
Originally?
No, here in
New York?
yeah, originally as well. You can tell
I
me.
live in Staten Island, actually.
Okay.
I know.
And how long is it to get here?
Well, I get a ride from my mom, but if not, 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah,
Because you have to go up and back.
Up
yeah.
and down, and take the boat, and then take a bus.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
horrible.
wow. But is it worth it?
I like this school a lot.
Yeah. And your major is
Law society.
Okay. How is that?
I like it a lot. I definitely want to be a lawyer now.
Really?
Yeah,
It's good. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good
I
thing
think
to be.
I think that's the best thing about Kahn's class is that not the actual class itself, but it made me realize that I definitely want to be a lawyer when I grow up.
Okay.
And, to put in the 7 years of college to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So actually, that connects because I wanted to know what. This isn't a test, and I'm going to check how you listen to the lesson. I want to hear what you have to say about Mr. Kahn's class. So let's just start in general. What you just said now. Why is it that Mr. Kahn's class, like the lesson we just saw, how does that make you want to be a lawyer?
Well, not so much the lesson that we just saw right now. That was just kind of a discussion thing. But early on this year, we had mock trials.
Yeah.
So we would have people who would have lawyer positions, and they would have to you were given a case and you had to argue a point.
Yeah.
And you had to opposing kids were just kids, and you had to argue, and you had judges and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically you just have to have fight a case based on little facts you get, and you prepare a lot, but then when you're at the thing and people are asking you questions, you have to do a lot on the spot, and mainly that was the part that made me want to be a lawyer.
And why is that? Why did you like that kind of?
Because I like the challenge of thinking on the spot. I like doing things spontaneously, kind of. So I kind of like that, the thrill of that.
Okay, and how does that connect to the content that you study in the class?
Well,
If it does
we do
that.
different content. It's very the class right now is not so structured because it's the very first time it's taught. So we've been kind of jumping through topics. We have discussions, mock trial, economics. We kind of civil, criminal. We kind of just jump through a whole lot of things.
But is there a connection between? Is there a thread
No,
that goes?
it flows relatively well. There's definitely it's definitely obviously the first time it's been used, and we're definitely guinea pigs.
Okay, but
Yeah.
so as I asked, is there a thread between all the classes? What is that thread? What connects all these different lessons? You
I
think?
guess because it's all social studies and kind of law related.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, so now let's kind of go more in depth in what we saw this lesson. What do you think about the lesson today that we just saw?
It was good. Kind of used to First Amendment days though. We've been doing First Amendment cases since last year when we had AP American, and then we had AP U.S. Government, and so just it's been just casual for us to do First Amendment.
So you've done it more and more and more. So why do you think Mr. Kahn talked to you about it again? If you haven't,
I guess because to stress the importance of it.
Okay.
It is kind of the foundations of this country is the Bill of Rights. So it's important to stress that with people.
And did it work, or did you feel that it's just?
No, I think it worked. I mean, I know how I stand on First Amendments, and because of that, and every case is different that you hear. Yeah.
How was that, or how did you understand that from the lesson today?
Because what I liked about the lesson today is that he didn't you hear First Amendment, it's oh, freedom of speech is you're allowed to speak, or you're not. It's not but this one's more of a gray area.
Yeah.
What he did about that closed box situation.
Yeah.
It's freedom of speech, but technically isn't. And then what he said about the majority minority rule, it is a majority. Democracy is supposed to work like that, but there is inherent flaws in that system. So I like the fact that through kind of acting it out, we're allowed to experience the flaws, because it's a lot different in reading about it than to see it manifest in a classroom.
So the fact you saw that girl, Dina, right? What was her name? In the box and all that.
Yeah.
That helped you understand the concept
Yeah,
as well?
the concept of the importance of being the difference between talking and being heard. It helped for you to physically see that.
And you think that's right for all the students, or maybe some people understood the example and laughed at what we saw there, but didn't really understand the concept that stands behind it? Or was that clear for everyone?
I think that it was clear. I mean, it's for everyone in terms of we're all took the same classes, and we're all refined in our sort of ways of thinking, and we all have kind of experiences in thinking that way.
And what does Mr. Kahn do something in the lesson we saw to make that clear, that connection between the example and the idea behind the example, besides your knowledge you have beforehand?
I think he works on the knowledge that we have beforehand, and he knows that we have the knowledge. When he asks oh, who heard of this case, and he sees the class raise their hand, he knows where he's working from, and he just builds upon it, so he doesn't have to start from square one.
And why is that good?
It's good because it doesn't waste time, in terms of like if we're all like at like a certain pace, he knows like how like quickly to go and how far he can go, like knowing all of our levels.
Okay. So you feel he understands where you stand, and he bases his lesson on that?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that true for all the students in the class? Or maybe there are more that are kind of left behind?
I mean, there's some people who are left behind, and there's some people who are more advanced. I mean, you can't make a foolproof system in terms of that, but I think he does a good enough job of it.
And how is that? What does he do to make sure he interacts with all the students in different levels?
Well, he doesn't. I guess he kind of, because he like makes sure he picks on like different. I mean, he always says like he wants new voices, and he tries to get like there's like people who are like inherently quiet that may not, you know, say as much. So we make sure he calls on those people when they raise his hand, and he does like group activities a lot, and that forces us to like interact with each other. And like when he used to do this thing where we have to get, for certain things, we'd have to get a unanimous decision. So that means that everyone would have to agree. So that means that everyone would have to say something, and that's good in terms of getting like people who would really like wouldn't get involved, like get forced to get involved.
Are there other reasons why do you think? Maybe you think, why does he do that kind of activity? Kind of a group work activity? Like, why is that good?
Because it kind of like, it's like builds on like the social networking like of it. Like a lot of like, what I feel like a lot of like getting something done productively and well is like when working with other people. And like one person who may like be really smart and work really well, you know, can't do as much as he can by himself as he could with other people. And I guess that helps. Like,
and so you feel that works?
Yeah.
In the class? The idea is also?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we heard that. What didn't you like about the lesson, if at all? Or what was more difficult for you to understand?
I didn't like the fact that, because, well, we kind of had, we were not at all next to freedom of speech and First Amendment until like today. We've been doing like intellectual property and counterfeiting and that kind of law, and then we kind of like immediately jumped into this. So I kind of like learning something completely before I learned something new, and like, so I didn't like that.
So what could he have done better?
I guess he could have stayed with the original lesson of like intellectual property and that kind of stuff.
So just so I understand, you didn't finish up the last subject and then you jumped?
No. Yeah, we jumped straight into this for like the next.
Now let's say, just for an example, that you did finish up the last subject and this was the first lesson of a new subject, even though you had that one done already. Then how would that be?
Well, like I said before, we kind of done First Amendment, so I would prefer like learning something completely new rather than learning something that we've already learned in the past like 2 years.
So you don't, understand. What are you looking forward to, if at all? You have homework for tonight, right? To read.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow you're gonna do kind of an activity.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to that, or
I'm looking forward, well, not to the homework, but to the activity. I'm looking forward to be more like interactive, and like it is like what I said, like, you know, like we have like a role, and it's gonna be a lot more. And I feel like lawyering than like this, where we get to like stand up and there's gonna be like a judge, and I like that. I look forward to that.
Okay, great. Like you said in the beginning of the interview, that you like that kind of.
Yeah, I do like that.
Okay, great. So like I told you in the beginning, this is going to teachers. So if you have anything else that you think we didn't talk about that is important from the lesson we just saw to be a good teacher?
I think, well, to be a good teacher requires a balance between strictness and leniency. That like, I feel like teachers try way too hard to like be known as like the strict one and the person that they can't take shit from. And like the problem with that is that kids really want to respect that in terms of like, especially like in high school, like, you know, we're old enough to like know like what's right and what's wrong. So it's not your job to teach us that. So if you respect us, we'll respect you, and you get a lot more done if you respect the kids.
And is Mr. Kahn an example for that?
Mr. Kahn, the problems I have with him is that he gets way too like specific about certain things, and he gets way too like into like different parts of the lesson that he wastes so much time talking about administrative stuff and like things that he gets him upset. He's way too like he's such a perfectionist that it gets annoying, and that it comes to the point that like it's hard to get work done.
Like, for example, the beginning of the lesson we saw today, where you talked, I don't know, for like 10 minutes about something you had to bring from home, or talking about
Yeah,
that.
but that usually, I mean, for the past week, because this actually has been kind of a hectic week because we're going like on a trip Monday,
Okay.
and like all these people have been coming in. But this past week, we've just been doing administrative stuff and
Okay.
and like there's been days where like if like someone has been caught copying homework like the day before, the next day, all of his classes know that the classes are just gonna be him complaining and threatening us about problems.
And why do you think he does that?
I guess so that to make sure that we don't do it.
Okay.
I mean, I would never like cut his class. And specifically, out of all the classes in my day, I know I can't cut him.
Okay.
Because I guess he does like. I mean, only because he reinforced that so much. So he does like gain something, but he does sacrifices like full days worth of lessons. And like in a class that I'm particularly interested in, like I do like what I learn. I would prefer to learn a lot more than to like get threatened.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? You were, like I said, want to tell the nation what we saw today about teaching, about education? Okay, so I'll meet you tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
We can talk
Okay.
some more.
Sure.